Welcome to my channel, where we share stories of the most ridiculous HOA and neighborhood Karens who think that they are above the law and can treat others however they please. Today, we will be reading from our community tab. So let's jump into it. Our next Reddit post is from No Idea What to Do. My HOA president is an absolute Karen, and her overreach has finally gone too far. The HOA for our condos consists of 5 members. Every 3 years, 2 seats are up for election, and we vote as a body of homeowners to determine who is in and who is out. 2 members of the board have just completed their 6-year term and have decided not to stand for re-election. 2 other members were vying for the open seats, and the president was running unopposed. In accordance with the rules, these elections require a minimum 25% turnout to be valid. If the turnout is lower than 25%, then the votes are recounted until a quorum is met. My wife and I both voted by proxy for the 2 candidates, but since there were only 4 ballots cast, it would have been impossible for them to win without our votes. The next day, we got notification that the election results were in and that our votes had been counted. However, upon closer inspection, we noticed that one of the losing candidates had received a vote even though she wasn't on our ballot. I looked at my neighbor's ballots, and they also only had one of the 2 candidates they voted for counted. Apparently, this candidate took her loss very hard and has been stirring up drama and anger in the community ever since. Well, last night we got a notification from the HOA president that due to the low voter turnout, the election would be held again. This was obviously news to us because 2 candidates won. We double-checked the bylaws and discovered nothing about voter turnout or recounts, so we emailed the HOA president asking why the election was being held again when all of the votes were accounted for. She said that while the bylaws don't say anything about voter turnout, the board has determined that a certain percentage of voters must participate in order for the election to be valid. She went on to explain that they had sent out a letter establishing this rule months ago, and that this letter constituted a binding contract between the HOA and the homeowners. She also attached the letter to her email. We read through the letter and found that it outlined the board's expectations for voter turnout, but nowhere did it say that failure to reach that number would invalidate the election. The letter also didn't have any language establishing the board's authority to unilaterally make up rules or change election procedures. Nevertheless, the president insists that the rule stands and that we must hold another election. I checked with my neighbors, and it seems like most people were under the impression that the election had already taken place and ended. At this point, the 2 candidates who lost the election are probably going to run again, which means that we will have to put more time and effort into voting again, even though the votes that were cast were perfectly valid. It seems clear that the president made this rule up in order to try to sway the election in favor of her friend. But what can we do? Short of hiring a lawyer, is there any way to get the president to back down? Update from No Idea What to Do. Thanks for the advice, everyone. We've decided to fight this. It turns out that the president of the HOA is a retired lawyer. I guess all those years of practice didn't dull her sense of entitlement. After posting my original post, several people mentioned that I should contact a lawyer. I agree that this would probably be the best course of action, but I'm really not looking forward to dropping several $1,000s on a lawyer just to flex on some entitled old lady. Also, my wife and I have never sued anyone before, and we don't want to traumatize ourselves if we can avoid it. Besides, I'm pretty sure the lawyer would just tell me to write her a cease and desist letter, and I'm pretty confident that I could write one myself. So I did what any reasonable person would do, and went to Google to look up a template. After finding a few different options, I decided to use one from a legal website. Using Microsoft Word's built-in track changes feature, I inserted comments wherever necessary, tailoring the letter to our situation. Once I was satisfied with the letter, I printed it out, trimmed off the extra margins, and folded it up before putting it in an envelope addressed to the HOA president. The next morning, my wife and I dropped the letter in the HOA president's mailbox. Now, according to the template I used, it was supposed to take anywhere from 3 to 5 business days for the president to respond to my letter. Well, it's only been 1 business day so far, and already I'm seeing results. The HOA president called me late yesterday afternoon and left a voicemail explaining that she received my letter and was preparing a response. Then she sent me an email later that evening, informing me that she had spoken with the HOA attorney and that he advised her to rescind the notice of election. She went on to explain that she understood that I was upset and wanted to assure me that everything would be fine. She informed me that she was sending me a revised election notice reflecting that the election had not been invalidated and that my votes would stand. She concluded by saying that she hoped that we could move past this unpleasantness and enjoy a nice summer together. I replied to her email thanking her for correcting the mistake and said that I appreciated her taking care of the issue so quickly. I didn't mention that I sent her a cease and desist letter, but I did make a snarky comment about how pleasant it's been to work with her over the last few weeks. Since then, she's left me alone. As a side note, I had a brief conversation with the HOA attorney earlier today, and he told me that he understood that I was unhappy with his client. When I asked him why she sent out a cease and desist letter over something so stupid, he laughed and said that she doesn't know the meaning of the word stupid. He also said that he had advised her to back off and that if I had filed a lawsuit, he would have defended her and the HOA, but that she would have personally been liable for my legal fees. He told me that his client had assured him that she wouldn't follow through with any further action, and that if I had sued her, he would have subpoenaed the emails between myself and his client, as well as my wife and client. And he would have loved to see me in court. Basically, he thinks this is hilarious. I really wish I could post the content of the letter that I sent, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to do that since it's a legal document. I hope you guys enjoyed this entitled people story. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I truly appreciate when you guys show your support. It helps the channel so much, and I just love reading your comments. So keep them coming. This HOA Karen thought that she was so smart trying to create her own rules to fit her narrative, but she bit off more than she could chew. I love that. The OP stood up for himself and went straight to the source of the problem, the president, and fixed it. And he did it in a way that the president would understand, with facts and the law. The president's whole plan was to bully the residents and use her power to push her agenda. But when faced with a real threat, she backed down immediately. It's always satisfying to watch the bullies lose. But anyways, that is all for me today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I truly appreciate when you guys show your support. It helps the channel so much. Anyways, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next Reddit video. Bye.